Welcome back to a Timey-Wimey Pod, where we watch every episode of Doctor Who from 2005 onwards. I'm Rebecca,
I'm Haley.
and today we are discussing the Interstellar Song Contest.
This episode, you guys, I have been telling Rebecca for the past week or two, and she can confirm this, that I don't know, I just had this feeling to root for this episode. Like I felt like it was going to be a banger. And you know what? I was low-key right.
I went into this thinking it was just going to be a silly little episode, a silly little one-off episode about a little contest. And oh boy, was I wrong.
I will be completely honest. I was also expecting it to be just silly, very campy. And oh my gosh, this entire episode had my mouth open the entire episode. And I'm not even exaggerating. And watching this simultaneously with Rebecca was really great. It was really, really fun.
Yeah, because we unfortunately did stay up till midnight to watch this because Russell on social media was warning everyone about spoilers. And thank goodness, honestly, because if we did wait till the next morning, I don't even want to know what would have happened.
Me either. But I'm pretty sure we have some fantastic facts. So do you want to get us started on that?
Yeah, so this episode aired May 16th, 2025, even though in my notes I wrote down 2024, which is
it was May 17th,
really embarrassing.
Not May 16th.
Oh, wow. So I really messed this whole thing up. You're right. It was May 17th. I was just thinking, you know what? It doesn't matter.
No, it's confusing when it's at midnight.
It is confusing because I watched this. I mean, it was the 17th, but in my mind, it was
but not really.
the 16th. Yeah.
Exactly.
Anyways, this episode was written by Juno Dawson and directed by Ben Williams. This is Williams' first episode that he's done.
It is. Oh, I want to see this man back because the direction in this episode was so good.
Yeah, so pretty cool that we had an all new team for this episode.
Yeah.
Though Dawson, she was the lead writer on a Doctor Who audio drama podcast from 2022 to 2023 called Doctor Who Redacted, which I have heard a lot of positive things about, but I didn't know about it until a few months ago, and I've never listened to it.
Interesting.
Yeah, but it's on Spotify and everything, so we'll be checking out. Haley, did you recognize anyone in particular besides the faces we're supposed to recognize? Did you recognize any voices in this episode?
Okay, you need to be more specific. Do you mean side characters?
Yes.
Familiar? I don't know. When you're saying voices, I don't know.
Well, Christina Rotundo, who played Liz Lizardine, previously played the Queen herself, Janice Goblin, in the church on Ruby Road and sang the Goblin song.
That makes so much sense because I'm like, this really sounds like Janice. So
I clocked it right away. I was like, that's Janice. That's my girl.
I was like, that's Janice, but like, I don't think it is her. The dots were there. I just didn't connect them.
Mm-hmm. Now we'll talk more about this, but obviously this episode saw the iconic return of the iconic Carol Ann Ford as Susan for the first time on television since 1983 in The Five Doctors. I didn't know this, but Russell and Carol Ann Ford didn't meet until the premiere for The Star Beast. That was the first time they met. I know. Can you believe that?
No.
Yeah.
How is that possible?
I don't know, but somehow their paths have never crossed, which is just insane. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
What are we doing?
Yeah, but they met at the Star Beast. They were both really excited to meet each other. And while hugging, Russell asked if she would want to come back, and she said yes.
That's actually crazy work, Russell, and I applaud you for it.
Mm-hmm.
You did what so many writers have not done.
Literally the thing people have been asking for 60 years, which is just insane.
Absolutely insane.
Okay, but before we get into all that, let's go back to the beginning of this episode. So we find out that the Interstellar Song Contest, which I keep wanting to say international, so sorry in advance if I slip up and say international at some point. But the Interstellar Song Contest took place in a satellite arena in space, which that was fun. I was expecting it to be like a planet or something.
Yeah, I love a good satellite situation. And I really feel like the visuals of the arena were really well done. Like
Oh
it looked
yeah.
very realistic.
No, this episode looked so good. It like the
Yeah.
arena, the stage, it looked really great. And we're in 2095. 2995, I should say.
Which is so crazy to think of.
Also, how did they get Rylan? Because if Earth was destroyed to ash and dust in a second, how did they get Rylan to then cryogenically freeze him for centuries and keep bringing him out? Also, why is he doing this? What does he get out of this deal?
You point out a really good question because in this episode he says, "Oh, not again," as his body is freezing in space. Which, like, does that insinuate that's like what happened when the Earth got
He
destroyed,
got flung
and then
into
someone just
space.
randomly rescued him? Like, I don't know what the situation is. Why him? No offense, Rylan, but why him? I will say, I feel like that's a perfect, like, comedic element of this episode.
Yeah. No, I love that. One thing I kind of think is funny to mention is it's so interesting to me watching this and watching all the behind the scenes. This is obviously like heavily it's inspired by Eurovision, which is really funny to me because Eurovision is obviously like a huge deal globally, but for some reason here in America, no one cares. Like I bet very few people actually know about it because no one here talks about it.
Yeah, I'm going to be completely honest. I learned of Eurovision a few years ago for the first time,
Me too.
and I'm still kind of confused on how it works. And all I know is that the US doesn't participate.
Oh, I didn't even know that. See, that's how little we care. We don't even go.
Okay, so Belinda and 15 arrive in like a private seating area, I guess, like a private guest suite.
Hmm.
And I love how excited Belinda gets when she notices that it's Rylan and that it's some variation of Eurovision, and how she's like, "Oh, we're staying." I think it's just really great. She's come to accept that yeah, she wants to get home, but she also knows that like while they're somewhere cool, might as well enjoy it. However, I do not think that's what she was thinking at any point for the rest of this episode.
Yeah, definitely not. But she was so cute at the beginning. And her little icy and, talking about watching it with her parents. That was really
Yeah,
cute.
it was for sure. Okay, so we need to talk about the whole like Poppy honey thing because when I first saw this, I was like, Poppy, as in Poppy from Space Babies, like, are we supposed to be making these connections or is it unrelated? So, like, I don't know about that. I find it very interesting that Helia was invaded for honey flavoring.
Yeah, and their whole planet and population were bought, and then they took the seeds and burned the fields. So now the planet is just desolate and they have nothing.
Yeah, so very interesting. Yeah, so very interesting. So there is so much going on in this episode. There's so
Hmm.
many like different things to mention, but we find out that there's this whole plot that Kid and Quinn from Hylia have devised to essentially murder 3 trillion people, the people who were watching the Interstellar Song Contest, because of the corporation that destroyed their planet. And the corporation now sponsors the Interstellar Song Contest. So, because of all of that, they want to kill everyone watching, which is just such a crazy thing to
Hmm.
do in retaliation. And it's even
Yeah.
crazier. They use a delta wave. Like, they want to use a delta wave, which we can't not mention the last time a delta wave was brought up.
Yeah, that was talk about a callback.
Mhm.
I haven't heard that name in years. I thought that was a really effective reference because hearing that, it immediately clicks for the audience that
Mhm.
remembers and understands what a delta wave is, and we immediately understand what's going to happen and just how bad this is because the delta wave will just take out anything in its path.
Yeah, I literally had Nine's. Who is it? Is it Jack or is it Nine who says, but it will kill everything in its path?
I think Jack.
Okay. Whoever it was, that snippet was immediately in my mind because like you said, it's such like an effective way for everyone watching to realize the mavity of the situation.
Love that they brought Mavity back. There have been
Me
a few
too.
gravity slip ups, but I'm glad Mavity is alive and well.
Me too. Interested to see if that will ever be touched on or if that's just going to be an ongoing bit for the rest of Doctor Who.
Yeah, who even knows? Okay, we have to talk about the scene where basically they pop the air bubble, for lack of a better term,
Yeah.
and seeing all those people sucked out into space. That genuinely was one of the most shocking things the show has done in a while. Like seeing
Mm-hmm.
all the bodies like floating outside the satellite and into space, that's an insane shot. First off, insane shot. Oh, your stomach just like drops seeing it. How did you feel?
I felt exactly like you did. Like my stomach just dropped. And usually, when there's like this, a good comparison is last season in The Legend of Ruby Sunday. You know, there's that huge cloud that is Sutek destroying everything and turning it into dust. But like, you
Mhm.
know, like everything's going to be resolved. Everyone's going to be fine. They're not just going to kill Kate Stewart off and like all of these side characters that are really important to the Doctor Who universe. But this was nothing like that because
Mhm.
I didn't know how it was going to be resolved. Like I figured like they're obviously not going to kill off the doctor, but like there was just something about seeing this shot that just made me feel so uneasy and so
Mhm.
like scared. Like it was like such a crazy shot and I really did not know where it was going to go. And I think too, it's because it happened so quick in the episode. Like this wasn't a
Yeah.
cliffhanger moment. And I think that's what caught me off guard more than anything is that it wasn't a cliffhanger moment. Like this was like 11 minutes into the episode.
Yeah, no, this was shocking. Definitely not where I thought the episode was heading. And yeah, I just that shot again, I can't get over it. Just seeing all the people getting
Mm-hmm.
sucked out into space and like the haunting it's insane.
Absolutely insane. Seeing the doctor be sucked away from Belinda.
Oh yeah, and the TARDIS.
Poor
Um
TARDIS.
yeah. I love how it just like shows up somehow though, like it's fine. Yeah, I think they did a really good job of showing like everything happening, but also still keeping it family friendly, but still showing it
Mm-hmm.
for what it is and keep like shocking the audience. And you understand why the doctor has his reaction to all of this. And what do you think of how he reacts and the actions he takes later on in the episode?
Such a good question. I really enjoyed it because I think a lot of people, myself included at times, like to always think of the doctor as this perfect hero who always saves the day, or even when he doesn't save the day, like he at least tries his best. Like he's never a villain. But I like when we see the nasty side of the doctor and see that this is someone with so many different facets in their personality. And when they are drove to the brink, sides of the doctor come out that aren't typically present. And I always like a peek. For example, with David Tennant in The Waters of Mars is a great example, or The Family of Blood two-parter, where he puts someone in a mirror. 12 when he's literally threatening, is it Shoulder who he's threatening in
Yeah.
Face the Raven with just like
Mhm.
literally every possible thing. And I feel like it's been a while since we've had this kind of moment in the show, and to see it and to see Shooty perform it was really great to watch. How are you feeling about it?
I do love seeing the darker parts of the Doctor, and I think Shuti plays it really well. His performance is incredible. Just everything from every line he delivers, the way he stands, like I love just the shot of his hands behind his back, and then later when he's in the chair and he like throws the delta wave box and zaps it, like
Yeah.
everything is performed so well. I think a lot of people are really upset by this reaction. Like, why are you essentially torturing someone who had their whole planet destroyed, like so many people killed? And I do understand that criticism, but I think this is part of the story that they're trying to tell. We don't know where that's going. And I think it's the point. Like, this is like an undoctor move, and people are like, oh, in another episode, he'd be like, make a speech about this isn't what we do. And then they would work together to take down the corporation. And maybe that will happen, because I do think they are going to bring Kid back next
Mm-hmm.
season. Maybe at least that's just kind of how it felt at the ending. However, I think one of the reasons why that scene is so upsetting for so many people and why it is just so uncomfortable is no one really calls the Doctor out the way they should. I think they needed
Yeah.
a way bigger reaction from Belinda than her just being like, sometimes I don't know what you're thinking. I really wanted to
Mm-hmm.
see more. I wanted a bigger reaction, something more. I wanted the girl that we saw in the Robot Revolution. And in that episode, I said that I didn't want the dynamic that they were setting up there to completely disappear. And then it's just all good times all the time. And I do think their kind of back and forth relationship that we saw in the first episode has kind of gone away. And I just really wanted more of a reaction from her. Like, yeah.
Someone pointed out online that they think instead of the hug that Belinda in 15 had, that she should have recoiled instead of coming up to hug him. And I think that would have
Yeah.
been like the perfect reaction and the perfect thing, because I agree with you. I think that's why it is uncomfortable for a lot of people is there's no one. Yeah, there's people telling him to stop. There was like the flashbacks of a certain someone telling him to stop, but no one was like calling him out. And I feel like, not to like compare Belinda and Ruby or Belinda and other companions, but I know with other companions, like they would have called the Doctor out right there and would have been like, that's not what you do. And so I wish the writing kind of was like that, like you were saying, where there was some sort of reaction besides, I can't tell what you're always thinking.
Yeah, we needed more of a reaction like Amy has in A Town Called Mercy, or that Clara
Mm,
has in why
Kill
am I
the Moon.
blinking? Kill the Moon. I wanted to say Day of the Moon, but I'm like, no, that's a different episode. Or that Donna has in Fires of Pompeii, that Martha has at different
Yeah.
points. Like, they were really missing that, and I think that would have been really key to this episode. And someone should have called him out, like, this kid, like, he has lost everything, this kid, and that is why he's doing this. And I'm not saying that justifies him trying to kill 3 trillion people. Like, this man essentially carries out a space terrorist attack, and that is
Mm-hmm.
insane. But I think, someone needs to have a moment with the Doctor where they're like, shouldn't you, out of anyone, understand like what losing your home and having your people killed, don't you understand what that does to a person? And I think they were just really missing that moment. Which is
I
why
agree.
these episodes should be an hour long, because we don't have enough time.
I completely agree. There are so many episodes, this one included, of the series that really would have just like flourished even more with extra time.
This one really could have been a two-parter.
Oh, yeah, it totally could have been a two-parter.
Okay, what do you think? We get a lot of side characters. What do you think about Cora, who is the other person we meet that is from Helia?
I like her. I kind of sussed out from the beginning that she was secretly
Same.
from Hylia.
Yeah.
That wasn't really a surprise or a twist for me, but I really like her, and I really liked how when Belinda was crashing out and having a panic attack after she saw literally all of these people, including the Doctor and the TARDIS, being sucked into space. So valid, by the way, Belinda. You are better than me. I would have just fainted and not woken up. I would have been sleeping the entire time. But, anyways, as I was saying, I loved how Cora helped calm Belinda down and was like, hey, you're alive. And like, we're here. And I really like that she really helped Belinda in that moment and showed her that kindness.
I love that while Belinda's having this crash out, Dugga Doo is playing in the background.
Okay, this is literally my favorite fact, is that Dugga Doo was created and made solely by Murray Gold. No one told him or gave him any input, including RTT.
It could only come from Murray Gold. No, it's so good. It's definitely been in my head all day, and I'm obsessed.
It is iconic. Dugga Doo, you're the real star of the entire show.
Really, truly.
But yeah, that is just so funny. The comedic relief in this episode, all of it is great. Like, all of the jokes are so funny. The whole bit with Gary and Mike and them being terrified of the doctor after his like speech to Kid, being like, we'll do anything you like. And then 15's like, I like you, Mike or Gary, whoever he was speaking to. He was like, oh, thank goodness.
Thank goodness. I loved Mike and Gary. They
Me too.
were some of my favorite parts of this episode. And yeah, really helpful. They just both happen to be like, one is a nurse and the other is like some kind of, a tech guy. Thank you. Like a really good tech guy. Okay, we got to talk about that moment when the doctor is, sucked out into space, skin turning to ice. And who else is going to bring him back from the brink of death? No one else but Susan. Tell me what your reaction was. How did you feel when we saw Carol Ann Ford on screen?
I don't even know if I can honestly articulate how all of my feelings were in this moment, but I had complete disbelief. Like, I watched this, I did not believe what I was seeing, and I was like, oh, I don't think that's Susan, even though she said, come on, grandfather. So I literally rewound it 3 times to make sure I wasn't just like going insane. And guys, you know the feeling when something really surprises you and like your stomach just like drops, but in a good way. That was me. I was in shock. I did not know how to proceed. Like, this was 60 years in the making. And I went into this episode being like, oh, we're going to get the Mrs. Flood reveal in this episode because RTD is like, spoiler warning. So to get those images of Susan and to not have had it spoiled at any point was the best thing ever. I am still elated about it. What was your reaction?
It was almost like an out of body reaction or feeling, because it's like I almost can't like register what is happening. It happened so quickly and it's like, wait, did that just happen? Did they really just finally bring back Susan and as Carol Ann Ford? Did that really just happen? I couldn't believe it. I was distracted for the next like 10 minutes. I didn't even know what was happening because I just couldn't stop thinking about that. And I obviously at time of recording, we have no idea where this is going to go, what they're going to do. But I'm so glad they're finally doing this, finally giving Carol Ann Ford her flowers and bringing her on the show. I have said to you for many years now that I really want them to bring back Susan, especially while Carol Ann Ford is still around. Like, I wanted it to be her and to have our very first companion that was ever on the show, to bring her back and celebrate her in this way, I think is really important and something the show has needed to do. And it's taken 20 years of New Who for us to finally get here. Yeah, and I'm just really glad to see her on the show and to be able to celebrate her in that era. And it's so exciting. Like, this is such an exciting time. Like, this really has something for everyone. If you're a fan of the 60s Who, 80s Who, like whatever it is, like this is such a exciting celebration of the show's history, which is so crazy to say about just like
Yeah.
what's supposed to be a random singing contest episode, but it's so much more than that. So it made me so happy to see her, and I loved seeing her on Unleashed and talking about how, it was fan excitement that brought her back because they had been asking for years, where is she? It makes me really emotional and really happy, and I'm really
Me
curious to
too.
see where this is going.
We told you last series, literally every single time there's a new character in Doctor Who, it's like, is it secretly Susan or is it secretly the Ronnie?
And we got 2 for 1 in this week. They said, "You know what? We're going to give you both."
Yeah. So completely insane. And like you said, a total out of body experience.
Yeah. I can't get over it, and I'm just really glad they're doing this and bringing Carol Ann Ford on. I just think that's great, and it's so crazy to me seeing her in 15's TARDIS. Just really had me thinking.
Yeah.
Just it's so crazy to think that she was there when it all started, and throughout her life she's seen the show grow and grow and grow, and it's like you were there from the beginning. You laid these bricks,
You
and
did.
I don't know. It's so crazy to think about.
Completely.
It also makes up for them like totally teasing us in The Legend of Ruby Sunday
Yeah.
last year. So I appreciate that because that was rude. That
Mhm.
was rude.
I did see some people saying that they were upset there was no like lead up to this season. And to that I say, guys, why are we complaining that we have Susan back?
Yeah, I'm didn't need any kind of lead up. We've been leading up to this for 60 years. That's been the lead
Yeah.
up.
Ever since she was left on the side of the road.
Yeah, and I really love the moment that the doctor has at the end with Belinda where he's like, I keep seeing, I keep thinking, and then he's like, no, it can't be. So I'm just really, really interested to see where that's going.
Me too.
After all that, the doctor uses a confetti gun
Mhm.
to fly through space and get back onto the satellite, which is just a perfect Doctor Who scene, and I loved it. And also, that scene really made me appreciate the Doctor's theme music for the first time.
Yeah.
It's so good, and I love it.
Mhm.
And I'm obsessed with that confetti gun scene. And Gary and Mike's reactions are just great.
It's hilarious. And I think this was like the perfect scene to have immediately following the Susan moment
Hmm.
because he's, entering this space station in the most camp way. And he literally faints, gets revived, and says, "Did I just fly through here on a confetti cannon?" And he's like, "Camp." And that
Camp.
made me laugh out loud. I'm like, this is perfection. This is like the best Doctor Who scene. It really encapsulates it all. 60 years of waiting for Susan to appear, and then 15 saying camp.
Yeah, incredible. And then I love how the doctor's freaking out, like, what is he gonna do? How are they gonna save
Mm-hmm.
everyone? And Mike's talking, and he says, "You would need to be some kind of like insane genius to, pull all this off." And then we have the best "Hello, I'm the doctor" moments, and
Yeah.
I think that's my favorite "I'm the doctor" moment from 15 so far, because it's just perfect. Like, oh, you need an insane genius? Well, good thing I'm here.
Yeah, it's so great. The moment when 15 is scanning the system and trying to figure out who's taking hold of this space station, and he and Mike and Gary hear the delta wave,
Mhm.
that like visually and listening to it was really crazy, and I really loved this scene.
No, that was great.
Like a very, very underrated moment. And yeah, this is when 15 figures out like the plan and the delta wave. And I love next when they're in the museum, not the Eurovision, the You know what? The Contest Museum. We'll just say the Contest Museum.
Yes, the Interstellar Song Contest museum thing.
Thank you. And Graham Norton's hologram just randomly appears, and I love it. And I think it would be absolutely hilarious if at random points in the show's future, when they're in the future, Graham Norton's hologram just appears.
He's just everywhere. I love when he's like, "Too bad I sold my image in perpetuity."
Yeah.
Like, and I love that Earth was destroyed. I love that Graham Norton is the one thing they salvaged from the ruins of Earth. Thank goodness,
Hi-
honestly.
Him and Rylan.
Him and Ryland somehow, and thank goodness. What what would the universe do without them? I love when the doctor gets upset about Belinda, and he's like, "Belinda would love this."
Such a good tender moment. And
Hmm.
like we already spoke about, like he really has his dark moment as the
Hmm.
doctor in this episode. And his whole speech when he's talking to Kid, when he's like, "Do you want to know what I'll do? I will survive and I will find you, and you can run and hide and whimper all you like, but I will find you because you have put ice in my heart. You put it there, so I will cast your body out into the void and I will stand and watch you freeze to death." And the way that Belinda is watching him say this as 15 thinks she's
Hmm.
currently frozen to death in space, and she's like, "That's not him. That doesn't sound like him." But of course, like if you've been watching the show for such a long time, you know that is him. It's just
Hmm.
a side of him that isn't usually out. And like you said, I really wish to tie in this moment more where she's kind of appalled by his speech. I really do wish she had more of a visceral reaction.
Yeah. I think that really is needed, especially because of what we find out happened to Helia
Mm-hmm.
and just like who Kid is. Like, we find out his name is Kid because his mother was shot before she could name him.
Like that is just so devastating. I'm not defending him at all.
Hmm.
I think so many people go through really hard things and they don't turn out like this.
Yeah.
But it does, like, it adds context to it all. And like you were mentioning, the doctor of all people should be able to recognize that, connect with that, not like condone the whole delta wave thing. But he has this dark moment, and we all have our dark moments. But again, no one calls him out on his dark moment. I'll be interested to see if that continues in the show, or if this is just kind of a one off where, for whatever reason, it wasn't written for anyone to call him out, but they will in the future. I don't know. It will be interesting to see how this builds into 15's arc.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see specifically what they're doing with this doctor's arc and the story that they're trying to tell. It'll be really interesting to see where we're heading. Can we talk about how the reveal that the planet is dead comes from Graham Norton? Like, that's when the doctor and Belinda have this big reveal via Graham Norton hologram.
I actually love it because it's very camp, and I don't know, it was just like, I don't have any qualms about it. I loved that he was the one to deliver the news. What I'm still kind of confused about is like this whole episode, 15 and Belinda were like, "This contest is proof that the earth was never destroyed and it's all good and we were worried for nothing." And I'm like, guys, this is happening in a space station. People from other worlds are watching. Why? And they're like, why do you think Earth is fine, even though there's mentions of Earth?
They were probably just like, "Oh, I don't know." They're like, "Oh, well, they had to, Earth had to have survived, otherwise, why would they be doing a song contest?" But yeah, it is kind of, you have a good point.
It's probably because of Rylan, honestly.
Yeah, honestly, that explains it.
But backtracking just a little bit because I want to wait to get to the very end of this episode. A lot of people have criticism when in a Doctor Who episode, the Doctor solves a lot of things solely using the Sonic. And we see that he essentially somehow destroys the Delta Wave with his Sonic. And then He also destroys Kid's gun with the Sonic. And I have to ask you, Rebecca, are you upset about any of this use of the Sonic?
Normally, I would be, but I'm not here just because I think it looks
Same.
so good. It looks
Mm-hmm.
really good. He looks really good doing it. So I'm not
He
upset
does.
by it.
I am
Um,
not upset either. And the shot of him throwing the box with the Delta Wave in it and
so
just
good.
destroying it, so good. Like he's not even looking. Just oh my gosh. When the hologram of 15 appears and he's saying to Kid, "When I tell you to stop, you really should stop, babes, or you'll regret it."
Oh yeah. That is such a
Like
good line.
that is a moment that is one of my top moments of 15 currently in my mind at the moment.
Mhm.
So good. And I don't know why, but I was like kind of shook that the doctor was a hologram. And then I was glad because I'm like, thank goodness. Thank goodness we're not having like a regeneration here in this episode after getting shot by Kid.
Yeah, that too much we don't have time for that. The
No.
shot where the doctor turns his back and is using the glove, it gave me like Darth Vader flashbacks weirdly, just like all that anger and all that power and just causing pain just by like moving your hand because obviously like the
Mm,
hologram is shocking him but he's using the glove. It just really adds to that scene and makes it really shocking, and the way he just keeps going and going and not even like seeing Susan makes him stop. It's not until he sees Belinda. It's insane.
completely insane. What are your thoughts on how they end up saving the 100,000 people that got sucked up into space? What are your thoughts about how that all goes down?
I loved it. I thought it
Yeah.
was great using the cryo chamber, and then they are able to bring everyone back. And I really like it. I think it was a good way to clean it all up. It's really funny seeing everyone come back, and you have to bring everyone back. Like at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
6-year-olds are watching this. You can't just kill 100,000 people like that. So I liked it.
Me too. It was so funny for Rylan to be the saving grace of this whole thing with his cryogenic chamber.
Great. It's great.
And the whole time, I was expecting Mrs. Flood to pop through, and she didn't
I
initially.
like
And I
had
was
forgotten.
surprised.
I had forgotten she was there until
Oh yeah,
we see her.
we forgot to mention she's in the beginning of this episode.
What's the Vindicator gonna be? I'm really curious what that
Me
has to do
too.
with all of this.
I'm wondering if she's using all of the Vindicator readings to destroy Earth.
I don't know.
I don't know.
But we get at the end the doctor and Belinda are in the TARDIS, and I love when he says, "I'm
Mm-hmm.
not only gonna take you home, I'm gonna save your home." And then they land or they're somewhere and the TARDIS is freaking out and they're like, that's the sound of May 24th, 2025. And then there's like an explosion. And I'm really curious if that's like an actual explosion or if they just wanted like a crazy way to end the episode.
I was so stressed when the episode ended like that because, like
Hmm.
you said, like you hear this horrible noise, which is May the 24th, and the cloister bell. Guys, every time the cloister bell is used
Yeah.
in a Doctor Who episode, I don't know what it is. I know it's always bad when it's used, but it always gets me really hype actually. And I heard that, and then the lights all going red, and then the explosion made me very, very stressed because it like exploded into the TARDIS.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm scared and I was not expecting it to just like cut at that. But more than that, but I wasn't expecting the post credit scene.
Yeah. This post credit scene was really interesting. So we finally know after a year and a half who the heck Mrs. Flood is. And shocking, it's the thing we all knew it was gonna be. She's the Ronnie.
And she's not just the Ronnie. She is the bi generated Ronnie. Do we even want to unpack that in this episode, or do we want to wait to talk about the bi generation more? Because I have beef with it. I talked about it in Lux.
Tell me, tell me your beef. I knew as soon as it was happening, I was like, oh, Haley's gonna love this. Because
Okay.
how do we feel?
Okay, so the bi generation with 14 and 15. I almost said the 10th Doctor. I'm so sorry. The bi generation and the giggle. I was like, okay, cool. You know what? They both live slay. I have my criticisms, but totally good. I accept it.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted that to be a one off thing, but for it to be a continuous thing is not something I'm happy about because I just miss the classic regeneration threat, the classic regeneration hangover that Shooty never got. I don't know. I just am a stickler for old times with stuff like this. However, on the other hand, when it comes to Doctor Who villains, I'm more okay with it if it's not the Doctor. And
Mm-hmm.
I came to this realization that even though I have a problem that this is the bi generation Ronnie, because first off, this is the first time we're seeing the Ronnie since Classic Who, and now it's a bi generated Ronnie, which I feel like is going to make everything so confusing for us and for everyone else who hasn't watched those Classic Who episodes.
Mm-hmm.
But I came to realize that, oh, if they use this bi generation as the reason to explain why Sasha Dewan's master and Missy's master like to figure out the timeline with them, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, me too. That's exactly what I've been thinking. And I do kind of hope that happens, and I do think maybe there is a potential that it will happen because maybe we're gonna see the master
Mm-hmm.
next week. I don't know. By the time you guys are listening to this, you'll already know. But um, yeah, we'll see. I agree with you on the bi generation. When it happened, at first I was like, I hate this. And then I accepted it. And then I was like, I accept it. I'm fine with it. I never want to see it again. So when it
Yeah.
happened here, I was kind of like, oh, okay. My main problem though is like, oh, she's a Ronnie and I'm the Ronnie. And Mrs. Flood is immediately sidelined and made
Yeah.
submissive and like, yes, ma'am, sorry, ma'am. I don't like that. That's boring to me. That's not interesting. Making a version of the Ronnie just like not as powerful or as interesting as the Ronnie and making her just the subservient to herself, it just doesn't make sense and it's boring. And I think it's more
Yeah.
interesting to have like two, like, where the Ronnie, like, and they're both the Ronnie. I don't know, you know what I mean? That is my main problem with that scene.
Yeah. It also makes me concerned that, like, and don't get my words twisted, guys, but it makes me concerned that for the finale, Mrs. Flood is going to work to try to fix everything because she's going to, like, rebel against the Ronnie because she's annoyed that
Oh.
she's subservient to her. And like you said, it's just a boring dynamic. Do something fun and you can do something different, but it doesn't have to be this. So I'm hoping this isn't the whole thing. I don't know. We will see. All of this makes me really nervous for the resolution of the finale because
Mm-hmm.
Russell is so amazing at building up finales.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is he always amazing at concluding them? No.
No.
So I'm scared. However, even though I have my problems with the bi generation and I don't want to see it again, I am really excited to have the Ronnie and have a
Mm-hmm.
new, not a new character, because obviously the Ronnie was in Classic Who and she's always been like a long known character, but to have it, I don't know, new in this sense, a new dynamic, a new enemy.
Yeah, introduce using the bi generation as a way to introduce Archie Punjabi as the Ronnie, I do think was really effective and really great. And she just immediately steals the scene, and you're like, oh, yeah, this is the
Hmm.
Ronnie. So using it as a way to get to her, honestly, I think I could be fine with because she just, like I already said, immediately steals the scene. And I'm really excited to see how this version of the Ronnie and the 15th Doctor, what that dynamic is going to be like. And I can't wait to see their interactions on screen. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
people were really upset that we got this reveal this way, and kind of a
Yeah.
post mid credit scene without the Doctor. And to that, I'm just gonna have to wait. I'm fine with it,
Mm-hmm.
honestly. I think it's a great scene, and depending on what ends up happening, I just have to see what they're gonna end up doing before I can really judge this reveal.
I totally agree. I need to wait to give my full opinion, but I don't immediately hate it. That much I will say.
Hmm. Yeah, that's how I feel with a lot about this episode. I'm like, I really like it, and we're just gonna have to wait to see what they end up doing with all these threads that they're building up. And yeah.
But something I just have to point out, we got Susan in the year 2025. We
Hmm.
got the Ronnie in the year 2025. We got a new picture of 9 Rose in 2025 and an announcement of Big Finish audios of 9 Rose. And then we got a new picture of 10 Rose in 2025 announcing that next month in June of 2025, there will be a special Doctor Who Unleashed episode that is specially made celebrating the 20th anniversary of Doctor Who. And do you want to share some of the people that are going to be appearing?
We got David, we got Billy, we got Pearl Mackey, Jodie Whittaker, we got Mandip Gill. Oh yes, we got Stephen Moffat, Chris Chibnall. I can't wait for that. Coming across that photo of David and Billy Friday on Instagram, shocking. I was not ready for that, and I loved it. And I haven't been that obsessed with a picture in a long time. So
Me
yeah, it's
too.
gonna be really fun. Who's the star of the show?
I have to say, the star of the show is none other than Susan. I can't say anyone else
Yeah,
because I would feel like a fake Whovian, if I'm being completely honest.
that's so fair. Definitely goes to Susan. Carol Ann Ford shows up, serves face, and
Mm-hmm.
delivers, and we love to see it. I'm also going to give it to Gary and Mike because they
Yeah.
really help us out saving the day, and they're iconic. And I really loved their interactions with the Doctor. It was really fun.
Everyone would have died without them. They were
It's
actually
true.
really helpful and really funny. They were great.
Yeah.
And a special shout out to none other than Dugga Doo.
What is the heart of this episode? If you can find one.
Let me see. Listen to your granddaughter who you abandoned on the side of the road 60 years ago when she tells you to stop electrocuting someone.
Don't steal someone's seats at a
Mm,
show or concert, or you could
yeah.
get sucked into the vacuum of space.
So true.
Do we have any reviews of this episode?
Yes, we do. And per usual, they are all from the Doctor Who subreddit. And this first review is by the user Stupid Aesthetic, and they said, quote, been dying to see 15 go full dark. They kept teasing it, but it never quite hit the peak. Then he tortures someone in this episode. I know it's controversial and some people don't like to see it, but one of my favorite things about the Doctor is how multifaceted he is. How he is the hero, but he can flip that villainous switch really quick. I love when we get glimpses of a dark Doctor, and this glimpse hit like it did in the 10 and 11 days. Big fan.
I agree. I love seeing the darker versions of the Doctor, and I think it looks really good on 15. I just wish to counterbalance it, we had someone calling him out like we used to.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. This next review is by the user Rebel042, and they said, the end post credit scene felt like I was high.
That's so real. So real. Watching that at nearly 1 a.m, I didn't even know what was happening.
And this last review really puts it perfectly. The Reddit user Kathan Crowell said, grandfather, and they just made the whole fandom gasp through time.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Guys, this episode was so good. I am eagerly and anxiously anticipating Wish World, we got no next time trailer. We got one brief, like, Doctor Who confidential, whatever it's called, clip.
Unleashed.
Unleashed. Guys, I'm struggling.
Why are you
today.
struggling with Unleashed today?
I really don't know. We got a tiny clip that basically showed nothing except that Conrad is back, which we knew.
Yeah, shocker.
So, like, there's no next time trailer, which makes me really nervous. And by the time you guys listen to this episode, Wish World will be out. So we shall see how this plays out and how everything ends up in the reality war.
Yeah, I really like this episode. And Juno Dawson, I love
Please
you.
write
Come
again.
back. You're incredible. I love when you can just feel the love of the show from the writers. Like, having writers come on that really love the show and that get it, it's really nice. It's really nice. Well, until next week, we are on Instagram and TikTok at Timey-Wimey Pod. We're so close to 1,000 followers on TikTok, so if you could please go follow us on there, we'd really appreciate it. We post reels and fun little things here and there, and we love reposting sad edits. So if you want to see some sad edits, go check out our repost. You can also email us anything and everything to timeyimeypod@gmail.com. And if you feel like it, give us a little review and we'd really appreciate it.
And with all of that said, we will see you guys next week. Bye, guys.
Bye. Ta-ra.
Ta-ra.